TGIF, people. It is Friday, the 29th of April, 2022. Hey, one more day and we're into May. I wonder what the weather's going to be. Well, I can answer that. The weather's going to be what they want it to be. All right. I'm going to introduce you to some interesting people today. I'm sure you heard of some of them. Maybe one you haven't, but you will. George Orwell. You ever heard of him? Yeah, he wrote that famous book in 1984. He wrote it in 1948, published it in 1949. Quite the character Mr. Orwell was, politically speaking, kind of leaning to the red left, if you know what I'm trying to say here. Careful of what I say on YouTube, of course. And it involved a character called Winston Smith. And who did he work for? He worked for the Ministry of Truth. And his job was to rewrite and remove history. History that this state, history that the plantation masters do not think you nor I should come across. Might be detrimental to their plans, don't you know? Now, I have screamed from the wall a number of times. You've heard me, people. Those who refuse to learn from history are doomed. Doom, gloom, and boom. Doomed to repeat it. But what if they removed or rewrote it? No, and altered it, huh? Inquiring minds want to know, people. And keep in mind, too, the winners of the wars write the history books. Okay, our masters, yeah, you know the ones, masters of plantation. Which plantation? The ones we're slaves on, are very slow and deliberate in their planning. Patience is a virtue, don't you know? One of their favorite sayings. Inch by inch, anything's a cinch. And Rome wasn't built in a day. No, I'm pretty certain Rome was not built in a day. People, the sheep, that's us, the sheeple are herded. We're not being herded, we already are. And we are surrounded. We're not being surrounded, we already are. The wolves, the ravenous wolves out there, are licking their chops. Yep, let the games begin. Let the blood flow. Okay, another interesting critter I want to introduce you to is a guy named Allen Ginsberg. I'm going to bring up his Wikipedia page because Wikipedia is known as the source of all information, is it not? So Allen Ginsberg was an American poet, you bet he was, and writer. He was instrumental in forming the core of the Beat generation. You guys remember the Beat generation back in the 60s? The Beatniks? He vigorously, not just opposed, but he vigorously opposed militarism, economic materialism, and sexual repression. Oh, these guys do like their sex. And he embodied various aspects of this counterculture back to the 60s, people, with his views on drugs, sex, multiculturalism, hostility to bureaucracy, and openness to Eastern mystic religions. Can you say New Age? That's all I'm going to tell you about him. I'm sure Murray can tell you a little bit more about him. If you're interested, you can always ask him. Now, what's important about Allen Ginsberg? A very famous one-line quote from the 60s, people. Here we go. We will get you through your children, unquote. Yeah, okay. What do you know about CRT, critical race theory? Ever heard about the trans movement? Think rainbow people. How about Disney? Disney World, Disneyland, Florida. Yeah, I think I forgot one thing about Mr. Ginsberg. From Wikipedia, he also was a member of NAMBLA, N-A-M-B-L-A. And what does that stand for? Why, it only stands for North American Man-Boy Love Association. Oh, love, you gotta love the love. Just gives me warm fuzzies just thinking about it. Yeah, Man-Boy Love. Okay, that's probably a little bit more than you needed to know. All right, so we got that weird dude. And his interesting quote, we will get you through your children. I've also talked about this guy before, Aleister Crowley. Remember him? Yeah, probably the most famous evil Satanist in American history. He wrote the book, Do What Thou Wilt is the Whole of the Law. Yeah, but whose law, people? Spoiler alert, I guarantee it isn't the Creator's law. So what's your options? You figure that one out. Okay, now, patience, people. Your master told you patience is a virtue. I'm going to tie this all together. We need to jump in our little time machine here and go back to 2013. The reason being is our memories are very short, people. Out of sight, out of mind. Yeah, we forgot about it. Did you forget about this one? Megyn Kelly from 2013 when she was still on Fox News.
Well, some lawmakers want to know why the Department of Homeland Security is apparently on a huge ammo buying spree. This is a just-placed order for more than 300,000 bullets, just the latest in a series of contracts that could add up to more than 1.5 billion rounds of ammo over the next 5 years. Critics say that's enough bullets to supply the equivalent of the Iraq War for 24 years, and they want to know why the DHS is doing it.
Yeah, critics are absolutely spot on. Why does the DHS want to buy all this ammo? Not only the DHS, Department of Homeland Security, but the Postal Service. We got to have our mailman running around with 40 caliber ammo, hollow point ammo. Social Security Administration needs all this ammo. You guys remember this? Or is it out of sight, out of mind? Well, how are you going to tie this all together, Dave? Well, we're going to do it right now. But I'm not really going to do it. I'm going to rely on Tucker Carlson to do it. Because I tell you, people, like him or not, he's going to tell you, flesh in the details, a hell of a lot better than I can.
Good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson tonight. When Elon Musk first announced that he was buying Twitter, it was pretty obvious the Democratic Party would soon become unhinged, not just angry or annoyed in the way you're very used to, but instead legitimately terrified and hysterical. Imagine how you'd feel if an armed intruder broke into your home at 3 in the morning.
Wait a minute, 3 in the morning? Did we not just talk about 3 in the morning in yesterday's podcast? 3 in the morning, when a lot of you guys are still sleeping, when some of you are sleeping off a hangover. 3 a.m. What you gonna do when they come for you at 3 a.m.?
Didn't exactly know where things were going, but you'd be dead certain that everything was at stake. That's how Democrats feel right now, because in fact, everything is at stake. Joe Biden cannot continue to control this country if you have free access to information. It's that simple. Biden certainly is not improving your life. He's not even trying to improve your life. So the best he can do is lie to you and demand that you believe it. But to do that, he needs to make certain that nobody else can talk, because if you were to hear the truth, you might not obey. How is Biden going to pull that off? It's not easy. Well, one option would be to get men with guns to tell you to shut up. Most Americans probably haven't thought of that because this isn't Africa or Eastern Europe. This is America, and we don't do things like that here and never have. More precisely, we haven't until now. But now Joe Biden is president and everything is different. So today, to herald the coming of the new Soviet America, the administration announced its own Ministry of Truth. This will be called the Disinformation Governance Board. Laugh if you want, but just to show you they're not kidding around here, this board is not part of the State Department or any other agency focused on foreign threats from abroad. No. The Disinformation Governance Board is part of the Department of Homeland Security. DHS is a law enforcement agency designed to police the United States, and that, by the way, has a famously large stockpile of ammunition. So it's not a joke at all. Here's DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas.
We have just established a Mis- and Disinformation Governance Board in the Department of Homeland Security to more effectively combat this threat, not only to election security, but to our homeland security.
Okay, that is the Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security. Worried about the big threat, people like me, yours truly, your ever flexible, most blue, incredibly humble messenger on the wall. What we're saying and we're typing on GulfAlphaBravo.com. Yeah, we're the threat. But this asshole will ignore the massive invasion on our southern border. Look at those pictures, people. I see a lot of military-aged men. Okay, Tucker said it best. Truly, people, 1984 has become 2022. I wouldn't lie to you. I'm up on the wall. It's late, people. It's getting later than you think. It's time we wake up, get out of denial, get into the acceptance level, and then we got to do something about it. And right now, I got stuff to do.